Senator Portman, thank you for inviting us here today, and you invited us to make an announcement.
Well, yeah, thank you for coming. I'm announcing today a change of heart on an issue that a lot of people feel strongly about. It has to do with gay couples' opportunity to marry. And during my career in the House and also the last couple of years here in the Senate, I've taken a position against gay marriage, rooted in part in my faith and my faith tradition, and had a very personal experience, which is my son came to Jane, my wife and I, told us that he was gay and that it was not a choice and that, that's just part of who he is, and he'd been that way ever since he could remember. And that launched an interesting process for me, which was kind of rethinking my position, talking to my pastor and other religious leaders, and going through a process of, at the end, changing my position on the issue. I now believe that people ought to have the right to get married.
Talk a little bit more about the moment that your son came out to you and your wife.
Well, my son is very close to me and to my wife, and he had worked on the campaign, and so we got even closer during the campaign. And he came to me as a college freshman and said, after the campaign was over, after I was already elected to the Senate, that he wanted to tell us that there was something about him we didn't know as well as we thought we knew him. And it hasn't, of course, changed our view at all of him.
What was your reaction when he told you?
Love, support, 110%.
Surprise?
Surprise, yeah.
You had no idea?
No idea, yeah.
Did he ask you to change your position on gay marriage and gay issues?
Not initially, and in fact, I wasn't thinking about policy or, positions. I was just thinking about him as my son and someone who I love very much and very proud of. So that was not an initial discussion. But over time, we started talking about that more, and he was helpful, as you can imagine, in giving me some of his perspective on it and information about it. He's a very bright kid.
Did he push you?
No, not really. I mean, I think he's happy and proud that we've come to this point, but he let it be my decision, just as, it's going to be his decision as to the role he plays going forward in this whole issue. He's, I think, again, happy that I've ended up where I have, but he is, he's a private guy. He's like most college kids, a normal college kid who, doesn't want to necessarily be out front on this issue, but it's part of who he is.
Does he obviously knows that you're doing this. How does he feel about you deciding to take the political plunge like this and make an announcement that you're flipping your position on this issue?
Well, he's on spring break right now, so he was here with me for a few days this week, just hanging out and, going to meetings with me and so on. So he knows what I'm doing, and he's back home now. But, I think he's happy that I'm doing it. He also realizes this will probably put a little more focus on our family, and that isn't necessarily something that we're comfortable with. But I felt it was important for me to come forward and talk about this, one, because I've made my decision. Second, because this court case is coming up, and I anticipate I'll be getting a lot of questions from members of the media about what my position is, as will other members of the House and the Senate. And I wanted to be absolutely clear and not mislead anybody. So he didn't dictate the timing, but the timing in a way is a combination of both coming to a change of heart on it, a change of decision, and feeling comfortable about that. And second, the fact that I think this discussion is going to be one that we're going to be having here in the Congress after the oral arguments at the end of this month and up to the decision and beyond.
You say you'll support that. Changing your position is one thing, and certainly a big deal. But then are you going to take it to the next level and be activist on it? Are you going to go home to Ohio and say, let's change this state law and get rid of the ban on gay marriage, which is probably one of the most sweeping in the country?
Well, people are going to know what my position is. But as you know, I've never really been involved in this issue one way or the other. I have voted consistent with, again, my beliefs at the time.
But does your son and the new experience with your son change? Will you be active on it?
You know, I'm kind of an economic policy wonk. That's why I got in this business. That's what I've always focused on. So how to get the economy moving, get jobs back, and I spent hours this week in the Budget Committee. I'll be going back soon. The budget's on the floor next week, and those will continue to be the issues that I'll put my primary focus on.
And what do you say to a gay constituent in Ohio who says, I'm so glad that he's changed his position, but why did it take him learning that he has a gay son? Why didn't he, as my representative, care about my rights before that?
Well, I would say that, I've had a change of heart based on a personal experience. That's certainly true. Dick Cheney, I think, had a similar experience. I've talked to him, by the way, about this. And, it wasn't an issue I had given much thought to prior to that. Maybe I should have. But, the reason I got into public service was because of my concern on the economic and budget issues. That's always been my focus.
You just walked into the very last question I promise I will ask, which was going to be about Dick Cheney. You said you did talk to him. Did you call him for advice because he had a situation very similar?
Yeah, I spoke to him personally. I actually met with him. And
what did he tell you?
Rob, do what's in your heart. He was a good person to talk to because he also was surprised by the news, and in that case, his wonderful daughter, who he loves very much, and it forced him to rethink the issue too, and over time he changed his view on it, and I followed his advice. I followed my heart.
Really nice guy too. Dana, when he was being vetted as a possible Romney vice presidential running mate, he came clean. He told him all this stuff. He told Romney and the veterans.
That's right. Because I asked him the question if he knew about his son being gay 2 years ago. Did he tell Mitt Romney? And his answer was yes. He told Romney's entire senior campaign team. He had to because they had to know everything about him. And then I asked, well, maybe do you think that's why you weren't picked? And he said no, because he asked, and Romney told him that. But when you think about the politics of it, they were already past the primary season. They were already into the general election. So you might also argue that perhaps it could have been a benefit for the Romney campaign. In a general election, for the Romney campaign to be able to sort of reach out to constituencies other than white heterosexual males. Of course, they're about the only constituency that they ended up winning.
Good point. Dana, excellent interview. Thanks very much for doing it.